23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year B. The readings for the 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time invite us to reflect on God's profound care for all humanity, particularly the marginalized, and challenge us to examine how we live out this divine compassion in our daily lives. This reflection is prepared by Father Ayub Francis, pastor at St. Jude Church, Grand Rapids, Michigan, USA. First reading, Isaiah chapter 35, 4-7a. In the first reading, the prophet Isaiah speaks a message of hope to those who are fearful. Say to those who are of a fearful heart, be strong, do not fear. Here is your God. Isaiah envisions a time when God will intervene to bring healing and restoration. The blind will see, the deaf will hear, and the mute will sing for joy. This passage reminds us of God's unwavering promise to bring about transformation, especially for those who are suffering. It is a call to trust in God's power to bring new life out of despair, and to actively participate in the work of healing and justice. Psalm 146 verse 7-10. The psalm continues the theme of God's care for the oppressed. It praises God who secures justice for the oppressed, gives food to the hungry, sets prisoners free, and opens the eyes of the blind. God's justice is not abstract, but is manifest in concrete actions that uplift the downtrodden. This psalm invites us to join in this divine mission by seeking justice for the marginalized in our own lives and communities. Second reading, James, chapter 2, verse 1-5. In his letter, James confronts the issue of partiality within the Christian community. He challenges believers not to show favoritism, particularly towards the rich, while neglecting the poor. James reminds us that true faith is reflected in how we treat others, especially those who are often overlooked or mistreated. The reading serves as a powerful reminder to examine our own attitudes and actions. Are we guilty of favoritism, or do we honor the dignity of every person we encounter, regardless of their social status? Gospel, Mark chapter 7 verse 31-37. In the Gospel, Jesus heals a deaf man with a speech impediment. The way in which Jesus heals, taking the man aside, touching his ears and tongue, and speaking the word "Ephphatha," be opened, reveals his deep personal care for each individual. Jesus doesn't merely perform a miracle. He enters into the man's situation, bringing both physical healing and restoration to the community. The reaction of the crowd, who are astonished beyond measure, shows that Jesus' actions were not just miraculous, but also a profound expression of God's inclusive love. This passage challenges us to be opened in our own lives, to open our ears to hear the cries of those in need, and to open our hearts to love and serve them without reservation. Reflection and application. The readings today call us to embrace the inclusiveness of God's love. Isaiah speaks of God's promise to transform lives, especially those on the margins. The psalm reinforces this by reminding us of God's ongoing work to bring justice. James challenges us to live out our faith by rejecting favoritism and treating all with dignity. Finally, in the Gospel, Jesus exemplifies what it means to be open to others, showing us that true discipleship involves personal engagement and compassionate action. In our daily lives, we are invited to be instruments of God's healing and justice. We can start by examining our attitudes and behaviors. How do we treat those who are different from us? Are we attentive to the needs of the marginalized, or do we favor those who can offer us something in return? We are called to follow Jesus' example of reaching out to those on the periphery, not just in words, but in concrete actions of love and care. Question for meditation: how can I be more open, like Jesus' command, Ephphatha, to hearing the needs of others and responding with compassion in my daily life?